We all need it, we all use it, but how often do we really stop and think about the journey our water takes
Yeah.
to actually get to us?
Yeah.
Today we're going deep on a topic that's surprisingly fascinating,
Yeah.
even a bit traumatic.
Okay.
The world of Thames Water,
Absolutely.
the UK's largest water company. So joining me today again is Expert Name. Expert Name, thanks so much for coming back.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to dive into these fascinating topics. And Thames Water, it's a company with a history as winding as the river itself, serving 15.5 million people. We're not just talking about another business here. This is a utility monopoly.
Okay, so a monopoly.
Yeah.
So I can't just switch providers if I'm not happy with my water bill.
Exactly. For those in Greater London and parts of Southeast England, Thames Water is the only game in town. Now, monopolies aren't inherently bad. In theory, they can really streamline services and maybe even offer lower prices because there's no competition.
Right.
However, the flip side is that without that pressure, there's less incentive to keep those prices down or prioritize improvements.
Right, makes sense. High stakes then for such an essential resource.
Yeah.
We can't exactly swap out water for another beverage if things go south, right?
Exactly, which is why understanding Thames Water's current financial woes and how it even got here is so important. To grasp the full picture, we need to rewind the clock.
Okay.
Way back.
Okay, how far back are we talking?
1609.
1609.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that's a history lesson.
Yeah.
We're talking Shakespeare's still premiering plays.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on in the world of water?
Well, London was booming, but clean water wasn't exactly flowing freely. Enter the New River Company.
Okay, Thames Water's earliest predecessor. Founded by these entrepreneurial guys named Edmund Colthurst and Hugh Middleton. Their goal, simple but ambitious. Bring fresh water to a rapidly growing London.
I can't imagine that was an easy feat. No modern plumbing back then.
You're telling me it was a massive undertaking,
Yeah.
but their legacy is enormous. Now fast forward a couple centuries to the 1850s, a period marked by that devastating Broad Street cholera outbreak.
Yeah, and that was a tragic reminder about the importance of public health.
Absolutely.
I feel like we learned about that in school, but a refresher never hurts.
Right. This outbreak claimed thousands of lives, proved to be a turning point in how we understand water and its link to public health. It was the groundbreaking work of John Snow and William Farr that directly traced the source of the outbreak back to a contaminated water pump. Really? Wow, so they were able to make those connections way back then, without all the technology and advancements that we have today.
Yeah.
Talk about a public service announcement for clean water.
It was a watershed moment, so to speak. It fueled these critical changes in sanitation and public health policies,
Right.
like the development of London's sewer system. We can't
Yeah.
forget Joseph Bazalgette
Okay.
and his effort to really modernize London's sewage system, following what's known as the Great Stink of 1858.
The Great Stink. That sounds descriptive.
To put it mildly, picture the hottest summer on record,
Oh, no.
with the River Thames flowing through London like an open sewer. The stench was so unbearable that Parliament itself had to be abandoned.
Oh, my God.
It forced action, leading to Bazalgette's system, which, believe it or not, still forms part of London's sewage system today.
Wow, talk about a legacy.
Yeah.
But a lot has changed since the 1800s. So let's fast forward to more modern times with Thames Water. The 1989, the water industry takes a turn toward privatization. What happened?
A pivotal moment indeed, marked the birth of Thames Water as we know it today. But this whole shift to private ownership, it's thorny, strong opinions on both sides.
Yeah.
Some argue that these private companies are more efficient, more innovative, while others believe that essential services like water should be managed for public good, not for profit.
It's a debate that we hear often with essential services, this public good versus private profitability. Where does Thames Water fit into all of this?
Well, after privatization, Thames Water went through a series of sales and acquisitions.
Right.
One key turning point in 2006.
Okay.
It was acquired by Kemble Water Holdings, which was led by the Australian Macquarie Group this period up until 2017,
Okay.
marked by both record profits and really stark controversy.
Controversy, huh? So there's a story there. What happened during the Macquarie years?
So under Macquarie's leadership, Thames Water took on a massive amount of debt,
Okay.
a staggering £10.5 billion, to be exact.
10.5 billion.
Yeah, to put that into perspective,
Okay.
that's a debt burden of about £677 for every single customer they serve.
Okay, now that's a number that hits home. I would definitely feel that in my water bill. So what was the plan with all that borrowed money. Surely some much-needed upgrades were in order.
That's the crux of it.
Yeah.
While shareholders, including Macquarie itself, were receiving these substantial dividends, investment in that essential infrastructure seemed to lag. And this period really brought that whole debate we were talking about balancing shareholder profits
Right.
with the public good into sharp relief.
So big profits for some, but at what cost?
Okay.
It feels like we're getting closer to the heart of Thames Water's current troubles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This brings us to the present day,
Yeah?
where Thames Water is grappling with this legacy of debt,
Right.
aging infrastructure, and these mounting environmental concerns. Remember, they're supplying 2.5 billion liters of drinking water every single day.
Wow, that's hard to even fathom.
Yeah, enough for over like 1,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
Wow, okay. It's easy to forget just how much we rely on them on a daily basis.
Right. And to manage this colossal operation, they rely on this vast network of treatment plants, pumping stations, pipelines. Some of their assets, like the Thames Water Ring Main, encircles London. Impressive.
Wow. Feats of engineering. They even operate the Beckton sewage treatment works, one of the largest in all of Europe.
Speaking of sewage, I've heard whispers of a super sewer being constructed. Is this the Thames Tideway project that I've read a little bit about?
Yes, the Thames Tideway project,
Okay.
another ambitious piece of infrastructure
Okay.
aimed at tackling London's sewage overflow issues.
Okay.
It's a multi-billion-pound endeavor,
Wow.
but with the crucial goal: prevent millions of tons of raw sewage from polluting the River Thames every year.
Yeah, that sounds pretty essential with the river running right through the city.
Absolutely.
But back to the present crisis.
Right.
Thames Water is facing this uphill battle with all this aging infrastructure.
Absolutely.
Right.
Much of their system showing its age,
Yeah.
leading to high rate of leaks.
Not only does this waste water, but it also increases that risk of pollution.
Of course.
Then there's the financial strain. Those interest payments on that mountain of debt, huge burden, making it even harder to invest in those necessary upgrades.
Yeah, it's a catch-22. They need to invest to improve, but the financial constraints make it incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
So where do we go from here? I've even heard whispers of government intervention and nationalization.
It's certainly a possibility. On the table.
Yeah.
Thames Water's financial situation.
Right.
Precarious, to say the least.
Right.
They've struggled to secure additional funding from shareholders,
Right.
leaving the government to consider stepping in to prevent complete collapse.
And I imagine no one wants to see their water bills skyrocket to bail them out.
It's a complex dilemma. A government bailout would likely involve taxpayer money,
Yeah.
while nationalization would bring the responsibility of managing this vital service back under state control.
Right.
Each option with its own set of implications for customers, investors, the environment. And then there's Ofwat.
Off what? Now, forgive me, I need a little bit of a refresher. Who are they again?
So Ofwat is the economic regulator of the water sector in England and Wales.
Right.
Essentially, they're the watchdog
Right.
tasked with ensuring that customers get a fair deal
Okay.
and that water companies are meeting their environmental obligations.
So they're the ones who can hand out those hefty fines for things like excessive sewage leaks.
That's right. They have the power to set these performance standards, determine how much water companies can charge customers, and yes, issue penalties for violations.
Okay.
For instance, in 2017,
Yeah.
a Ofwat slapped Thames Water with a record £20.3 million fine
Wow.
for a series of serious sewage treatment and pollution incidents.
It's good to know someone's holding them accountable.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they're walking a tightrope, trying to balance the need for investment, affordability, environmental protection. So what's next for Thames Water?
So we've covered a lot of ground here, from the historical roots of London's water system
Yeah,
to the immense challenges facing Thames Water today.
absolutely.
But it's not all doom and gloom, right?
Yeah.
There has to be some glimmers of hope, some innovative solutions in the works.
Yeah, you're right. It's not all bleak.
Yeah.
Thames Water is exploring new avenues to tackle these challenges head on.
One initiative that caught my eye is their venture into floating solar farms.
Okay.
They've partnered with a company called Trinsic
Okay.
to explore harnessing solar energy from reservoirs.
Floating solar farms. Now that sounds pretty cutting edge. How does that work?
So essentially, they're these large-scale solar panel installations that just float on the surface of reservoirs.
Oh.
It's a clever way to utilize existing infrastructure
Right.
and generate clean, renewable energy.
Right.
This could contribute to their sustainability goals,
Yeah.
reduce their carbon footprint.
Definitely a step in the right direction. But let's be honest. Floating solar panels, while innovative, probably won't solve this massive debt crisis or magically fix all the aging pipes underground.
Right.
So what's the long-term strategy here?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there are no easy answers.
Right.
The path forward requires substantial investment,
Yeah.
and it's unclear where that funding will come from
Right.
or if it will even be enough. It needs a multi-pronged approach.
Okay.
Upgrading infrastructure,
Right.
reducing leaks, improving environmental performance,
Yeah.
and somehow navigating this mountain of debt.
Right.
It's a complex equation
Yeah.
with no clear solution.
It sounds like Thames Water's story is far from over,
Yeah.
and its fate has implications that reach far beyond just Londoners.
Oh.
What does this all mean for the average person who, let's face it, just wants clean, affordable water flowing from their taps?
That's the point, isn't it? This
Yeah.
isn't just a Thames Water problem. It's a
Yeah.
glimpse into the challenges
Right.
facing water companies globally.
Right.
Aging infrastructure,
Yeah.
increasing demand, climate change impacts. These are complex issues
Yeah.
that demand innovative solutions, difficult decisions, and a collective responsibility.
Decisions about how we manage this precious resource, who bears the cost, and who ensures its sustainability for future generations.
Exactly.
Yeah, expert name. This has been a really fascinating discussion.
Yeah.
It really feels like we've only just scratched the surface.
Yeah, just the tip of the iceberg.
But hopefully this deep dive into Thames Water has given our listeners a lot to think about,
Absolutely.
and maybe even inspired some to learn more about where their water comes from.
Yeah.
So from both of us, thanks for listening to this deep dive into Thames Water. Until next time.